Welcome to this tutorial on managing experiments. In this tutorial, we explore how to use iView ETG to manage and run experiments on a PC laptop. We also explore how to transfer experiments to record using the SmartRecorder. iView ETG allows you to use a laptop to create and modify experiments and experiment settings, including participant properties and annotations. iView ETG also allows you to work with experiments on the SmartRecorder or within bGaze. Let's look at how to use iView ETG on the laptop to create a new experiment. First, connect the ETG to a laptop with iView ETG installed and opened. Select the Use Local Glasses option in the dashboard. Select New Experiment. Then enter an experiment name or use the default name assigned by iView ETG. Then select Create Experiment. Once an experiment has been created, the experiment dashboard will appear, showing the experiment name in the upper left corner. Use the dashboard to view and modify experiment properties and settings. The left column displays participant properties and annotations. The right column displays experiment settings and hardware configuration. Use Export Experiment to export experiments to the ETG. To add or modify any experiment settings, select the Change button within that area of the dashboard. Make sure to modify experiment settings before running an experiment. Let's look at the settings you can modify for an experiment. Experiment settings control calibration and iView ETG settings for recordings. These settings are used by default for experiment recordings. The default calibration mode listed here sets the suggested calibration mode for every recording. Select the Change button to modify any of these settings. The Hardware Configuration area controls settings for the ETG device. The sample rate determines how often eye-tracking samples are taken during an experiment. Your ETG device and license determines the available sample rates. Select the Change button to modify hardware configuration settings. Participant Properties stores data about each participant for an experiment, which is stored with the experiment data when recording. Properties for each participant, such as age and gender, can be stored within this area. Select the Change button to add or modify participant properties. Annotations allow you to store notes about specific situations during recordings. Example annotations would be: takes product from shelf, puts product in shopping cart. Select the Change button to add or modify annotations as needed. View the SMI eye tracking glasses and SmartRecorder tutorial using annotations for additional information about how to use annotations. You can lock experiment settings to avoid unintentional modifications. A blue padlock signifies settings are locked. If locked, click the blue padlock to unlock. The padlock will then display in orange when it's unlocked. Can I use a laptop to run an experiment created with iView ETG? Once an experiment has been created, you can run it using a laptop and the ETG. It is not necessary to upload the experiment to the ETG if you are using a laptop to record. Select Run Experiment to record experiment data using a laptop. Live Scene Camera View will display on the laptop. Live Scene Camera View on the laptop displays what the ETG is viewing. The gaze cursor will also be visible if the ETG is being worn. Select New Participant to record a new participant in an experiment. Add the participant name and click OK. Select Record to start and stop recordings. The recording time will be displayed on screen while recording. Data from recordings is stored automatically. Return to the experiment dashboard once recording is complete. Recordings are stored automatically within an experiment repository. Select repositories in the dashboard to view data from an experiment. Once an experiment has been recorded, experiment data is stored within the repository location listed. Data is stored within a separate folder that uses the experiment name. An experiment data folder can be selected to create that experiment within BGAZE using recorded data. If an experiment requires mandatory calibration, the system will need to be calibrated before recording can begin. View the tutorial titled SMI Eye Tracking Glasses and SmartRecorder Calibration for further details about calibration. So how do I use the SmartRecorder to run an experiment created using iView ETG? Experiment settings are stored within iView ETG to use as default settings when recording experiments. Experiments are copied to the SmartRecorder using the ETG device. You can copy experiments from the ETG to as many SmartRecorders as needed. Let's look at the steps required to copy experiments onto the SmartRecorder. First, create an experiment using iView ETG. Then upload the experiment to the ETG. Then you download the experiment from the ETG onto as many SmartRecorders as needed. Use Export Experiment to upload an experiment to the ETG. Choose Upload to ETG from the menu. The experiment is then uploaded to the ETG. To copy experiments from the ETG to the SmartRecorder, connect the ETG to the SmartRecorder. The experiment is copied automatically onto the SmartRecorder. Download the experiment from the ETG to SmartRecorders as needed. Once an experiment has been run and data has been collected, you can load all recording data into one experiment in BGAZE at one time. View the SMI Eye Tracking Glasses and SmartRecorder Data Transfer tutorial for further details about data transfer. In this tutorial, we explored how to use iView ETG on the PC to create and modify experiments and experiment settings, add or modify participant properties or annotations, and work with experiments on the SmartRecorder or within BGAZE. Thank you for viewing this tutorial on managing experiments using iView ETG. Please email SMI support if you have additional questions about managing experiments.